What is going on, everyone? My name is Kevin, and today we're doing a quick comparison and showdown between two of Samsung's hottest selling mid-range phones, the Galaxy A70 and the Samsung Galaxy A80. We're going to find out if the A80 is worth shelling out that extra money for. Is it really the better device? And for that extra money, what features do you get? Let's start with an overview. Both Galaxy devices have nearly an identical footprint, but in the hand, the heft of the A80 is very noticeable. The A70's back is comprised of all plastic materials. It kinda gives off a rainbow effect reminiscent of the Note 10, but it's not nearly as premium in person. A80 takes use of a glass plating and metal, specifically aluminum around the frame and in the moving components for the camera slider. This pop-up module is what allows the phone to have a notchless design. Now, notchless is super cool, but it does come at a cost. That slide-up motor that Samsung uses to hide the front camera and pop up is actually slow. It's so slow, in fact, that Samsung opted to take out Face Unlock as an authentication method, and instead we're left with the on-screen fingerprint scanner. The two devices share the same 393 pixels per inch Super AMOLED technology at an aspect ratio of 20:9. It's important to mention that neither device has dual speakers, and while the audio quality and the volume has been good in my use, it can easily be covered up with a finger on the bottom. The difference in these phones are in the cameras, battery life, and the performance. The A70 is rocking a Snapdragon 675 with the Adreno 612, whereas the A80 has the upgraded 730 chipset with Adreno 618. Both devices are octa-core, but the A80 is clocked ever so slightly higher, and it edges out my A70's 6GB of RAM, with an additional 2GB of RAM on top, making it 8. Now, the Galaxy A70 does house the bigger 4500 mAh battery as opposed to the A80's 3700 mAh, so the difference is 800 mAh, but the real difference is actually in battery efficiency, where the A70 also takes the win. In real-world use, this translated to me getting an extra hour and a half of screen-on time. These devices charge up through USB-C, and they both come with the 25-watt charging adapter, which is super fast to charge the phones up. My A70 actually came with a free 128GB micro SD card, which I wasn't expecting because it wasn't on the Amazon listing, but free stuff is always appreciated, and the phone can support up to 512GB of micro SD storage internally. Here is the kicker though. The A80 doesn't even have expandable storage, no micro SD card slot, and there's no headphone jack. So that aside, let's talk about the everyday performance of these devices. The boot up test winner goes to the A80 unsurprisingly, but once it's up and running, most of my tasks performed at roughly the same speed. There's two exceptions, opening up the camera app and gaming. The A80's camera app loaded much faster every time. When I hop into a mobile game with high settings, that is also where the A70 will fall shortly behind. At medium settings, we're talking about a marginal drop of only a few frames per second. I'm happy to report that neither phone had issues heating up while gaming in my experience. The better graphics performance of the Adreno 618 is no surprise, but is it enough to justify the extra cost? For you, that might all come down to the camera comparison. These two phones have very different looking cameras, but the actual sensors themselves are very comparable. Starting with the front camera, I preferred taking selfies on the A80's flip module. The sharpness, colors, contrast, and exposure all looked better on here, and it has the option to record 4K video for the front camera, an option which isn't available on the A70. In some instances, I preferred the results of the rear camera from the cheaper phone, but more often than not, the A80 hit the focus and sharpness better. Neither device has optical image stabilization, but the software processing makes videos usable. Of course, the stock camera app is optimized and it's the fastest for processing times and general ease of use, but a lot of you will prefer using an alternative app to take photos, like Google Camera, for favorable quality in the end result. So you might be surprised, there aren't as many compromises to make if you're going for the cheaper Galaxy A70, and after having used these devices for a long time, I can personally tell you that I'll be sticking with the A70 and saving the difference of cost for more accessories like the Galaxy Watch Active 2, which I will be reviewing soon. I've already reviewed both phones on my channel, so if there's anything that I didn't cover in this video, that'll most likely be in my review video of each. But that wraps up my comparison, guys, for the Galaxy A80 and the Galaxy A70. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, I'll talk to you in the next video.